Shout out to each and every one, especially Intangible Boxing. Shout out to Intangible Boxing. We're going to talk some boxing here. Intangible was talking about Leo Santa Cruz, how poor his resume was, and undoubtedly, undisputably, we have to all agree that Leo Santa Cruz's resume is very weak with 38 fights, right? The only guys of note, really, you should be talking about when you talk about Leo Santa Cruz is Abner Mars, Carl Frampton. Gets a lot of props for facing the undefeated Carl Frampton twice. Nonetheless, Leo Santa Cruz ain't facing nobody, and just like what my boy Intangible is saying, neither has Gary Russell Jr. nor Tank Davis. Alright, be fair. But then he makes this generalized statement about PBC fights and PBC fighters, and I don't think that it's being fair, because you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's just look at the past fights that PBC hosted this year. We're not going to talk about 2018. We're not talking about 2017. None of that. PBC came into being in 2015. We're not going to talk about none of them things. We're just going to look at 2019, okay? Quillen versus Angulo. Now, when you see that fight, you say, oh, it's a mismatch fight. Guess what? Peter Quillen lost. Alfredo Angulo beat him. Hence, we're going to see this theme over and over. Upsets. This was a shit fight, so we're going to skip that. That's a promotional fight for a younger fighter. But I just want to bring up this year also, Omar Figueroa lost to the kid who faced Sean Porter, Yordenis Ugas. All right, good ass action-packed fight, by the way. Garnacki versus Areola. Areola put up a hell of a performance against Garnacki. Had better defense and all of that. Garnacki still got the win. This was a good fight as well. Notice those fights I just mentioned were free. Now, this fight here was not free. This was a pay-per-view. It was Pacquiao versus Thurman, right? This was a pay-per-view fight. It lived up to the hype. It was a great fight. And again, in a way, it was an upset because Thurman was the champion, the WBA super champion, and Pacquiao beat him. Another upset. This is a shit fight. This is an unknown fight. This is Antonio DeMarco versus a young guy, James. James beat DeMarco. Again, DeMarco being the name guy, getting beaten. You have upsets. Again, you didn't have to pay for that fight. Supposed to be the coming out party, by the way, for DeMarco. And that backfired. Charlo versus Adams. Supposed to be a mismatch fight. Turned out to be a hard-fought fight between Jamal Charlo at middleweight and young Adams. And I mean, hell of a fight, right? Hell of a fight. Free. Charlo versus Cota, that was a shit fight. Leave that out. Devin Alexander versus Redcat. This turned out to be another upset. Redcat came in and knocked out Devin Alexander after Devin Alexander was winning the fight almost all the way to the end. Then we had another competitive fight between Austin Trout and Gausha. Okay? I mean, so again, Gausha, people argue Gausha won that fight, right? Okay. It's a shit fight, so I'm going to pass that. Hurd versus Williams. Yet another upset. And by the way, all the fights I just mentioned there, besides Pacquiao versus Thurman, were free. Hurd versus Williams. Ain't no other network doing free fights. Now, once upon a time, ESPN, which is a subscription service, used to give, so you had to have cable, used to give fights where you weren't charged for the fights. You were charged for the subscription. Even then, those fights are nowhere on the level. We never got fights like Hurd versus Williams. Those Friday night fights or Tuesday night fights. We had up-and-coming fighters like, Showbox. You never saw established world champions facing each other. On the PBC, you do. Hurd versus Williams. Upset. I don't even know how many upsets I just spoke about. Right? Let's keep it going. Robert Easter versus Francis Bartholomew. Now, this was a fight that nobody really wanted to see, nobody really cared about, but it ended up being a competitive fight that ended in a draw. Two former world champions. Danny Garcia versus Adrian Granados. Hell of a fight. Danny Garcia being the first guy to stop Adrian Granados. A tough dude. Hell of a fight. Free. Cullen versus Truax ended in a stalemate. Peterson versus Lipnitz. Another upset. Lamar Peterson getting beat down and stopped by Sergey Lipnitz. The smaller guy moving up in weight. This was the other pay-per-view. This was a shit fight, in a way, because Spence just dominated. It wasn't a shit fight, but Spence dominated Garcia, so that was a pay-per-view. Sean Porter versus Yordanis Ugas. Ugas was live in that fight. Some people thought Ugas won. It was a close fight. Free. Sean Porter being the WBC World Champion. Erislandy Lara versus Castaño. Hell of a fight. Erislandy Lara getting a draw against Castaño. Alright? This was a shit fight. James DeGale versus Chris Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr. beat James DeGale. Another upset. Shit fight. Shit fight. Keith Thurman versus Josecito Lopez. It was supposed to be an easy fight. Lopez almost knocked out Thurman in the 7th round. Then we had Pacquiao versus Broner, which was a pay-per-view. Didn't really live up to it. We had Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown. All right, and what's not seen here on this is Marcus Brown versus Jean Pascal, which Jean Pascal won against Marcus Brown. This was also a hell of a fight and a bloody fight at that. Badu Jack was still game all the way to the end, which was incredible. And then finally, very competitive fight between Uzcategui versus Caleb Plant. All right, so you can't really. I would say this. To Intangible Boxing, you know, a lot of boxing fans have this, I don't know, narcissistic streak in them, where they're kind of very negative about everything. But this is the best era of boxing. This is the best. I think this era is becoming one of the golden eras of boxing. Because what we just talked about, most of those fights were on television, man. And I know there's certain people like H Money who are anti-PBC for some reason. I don't know why they talk so anti-PBC. But I don't think H Money means anything by it. Let me just say this. And I think H Money is saying the zone brings the best fights out there. And I truly believe the same thing. Me and H Money, we agree on that. I think where H Money is going a little bit wrong, in my opinion, is that H Money is saying that PBC, you know, is putting on crap. You know, they're failing. I don't agree with that, but I get where he's coming from. What he's really saying is, here you guys are accusing the zone of this, that, and the other, because the zone is new guys on the block. But when you look at PBC, they're doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And I personally realized that PBC had, I was just watching Joe Habib, who again, he and I kind of share a similar opinion on certain things, and other things we just totally disagree. But I agree with him that more of the early year fights in PBC, even though I have to say though, even the later fights on PBC, I thought were very good. And if you look even at the upcoming schedule, which is not that hot, but there's some fights coming up, and those fights also look good. We may have Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. Now a lot of people are saying, I'm hearing people saying, you know, that fight is a shit fight because you know he gonna face Ortiz again and stop him early. And I get where they're coming from. That might be so. But I still think Ortiz is a hell of a fighter. And it's not as much of a shit fight as, say, for instance, let me pull up a shit fight. My time's almost up. Like Davis versus Ruiz, for example. You know, Gervonta Davis is so underutilized. And him and Leo Santa Cruz, it's almost like they're protected fighters or something. You know, I'm not seeing the fights we expect them to live up to. Their hype is just way beyond what they're actually doing, you know. Anyway, guys, I'm what you need. You can subscribe and donate to my channel. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.